Hi, everybody. What's going on? I'm Miss Jen.
And I'm Bean.
We need to learn this someday, that we should just switch places again.
Oh, I know.
It's so funny. All right, this is Minute to Skim It. For anybody that's brand new to our show, which is highly unlikely, but I'm super thankful if you are. This is a review show that we've been doing for probably 7 years now, where we do spoiler-free reviews.
You add a year every single time you say it.
Yep.
Listen.
Because I think we're close. But we're at 11 years as a store.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure we're close. I think I add one because it's been longer since the last time I said so.
It's been a long week. Thanksgiving week's always long. So.
Lullaby is here the first time. Love it. It's Katsumi. It's my good friend. So we're gonna review these books, and then we're gonna basically give you the rundown about what we think you guys should get.
2015, 6 years ago.
2015. Oh, 6. Okay, so 6 is
and a
correct.
half because it was March.
I like that you can go back and actually look at them.
We used to do them on YouTube.
But before that, we did them in just Facebook, so I think it's longer. All right, everybody, we're gonna get going so we can see what we have been reading.
There's a lot of books this week.
So many.
Okay.
And since Katsune's here, I'm gonna actually show you Katsune's book. So Katsune's book is this awesome book, Foxy and Wolfie Chaos.
That's awesome.
Okay, it's quite a size of a book, and it is really beautiful in its art. I think this doesn't qualify as a new release because of the way that it was released. This was only for Kickstarter, but it's beautiful, gorgeous art inside. It's a beautiful. Okay, so I only read the first. I don't even think they're called chapters. Honestly, I think it's called something else, which is so creative. Let me make sure I get it right, because I thought it was very creative. It's like, oh no, it is just chapter. Okay, so it's about this sweet girl. This one's the main character. That I believe is Wolfie. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. But anyway, she's a sweet little girl who is just gotten her acceptance letter to school, to the university, and very much is happy about getting in, but also very worried about how they might fit in. And what I love about the book, honestly, is that the person is in a wheelchair, but that's not the focus at all of the character. The worry is about other things, like is she going to study the right spells, and can she get the right books at the library so they know what they know what they need to have to get to school. And it's not even addressed, which I love. It's just like, this is a character, normal character, move on. It's so awesome. And in the very first issue, you get to see a conflict in which they go to the library to go get books, like I mentioned. And there are boys that have been inhabited by demons that are hanging in the stacks upstairs where she wants to go, and they attack her. So, and then it creates a situation in which they meet each other, which is very sweet. So this is a really cute series so far. I can't wait to read all of it. And we have the creator here with us, which is Lullaby Katsune. It's bigger than you thought. No, it's awesome. I mean, you could weight lift with it, honestly. And I like the back art too. So, Katsune, you can totally type in anything that you want to say. You can type in links to your social media, or how, if they wanted to get a book directly from you, how they could get that. And maybe even you can type in the process of how your creations have happened. Is this the first book that you've done? Those kinds of things. Anything like that, you're welcome to put in the chats, because it's not a traditionally released book to comic book stores. They'll want to know how to get it. If they find that kind of storyline to be lovely and they desire it. So you can type in as much as you want. Even though we're moving to another book, just keep on typing.
Nice. Alrighty. Ooh, let's see what. You know what? I'm gonna start off with Evil Ernie.
That's so funny. Like, my bubblegum book I guess even though it is about demons too, but
Yeah.
straight to Evil Ernie.
He was straight to Evil Ernie. So this is Evil Ernie, issue number 1, coming back after I don't know how many years. How many years do you think it's been since an Evil Ernie book came out?
You know, I don't know if Dynamite has ever done an Evil Ernie standalone book. I have to go back and look.
This one is really good because I mean I'd seen Evil Ernie stuff. You know, anybody who's seen any of the shows knows that I like 90s comics. I like that style. You see a lot of Evil Ernie around. This is the beginnings of his origin story. So he this is really a good introduction because I didn't know if Evil Ernie was just going to be kind of one of those like coming in, evil, maniacal laughter, slaughter, books over. You know, I didn't know, but this really introduces you to Ernest, this college kid who's like very, he's extremely ambitious. He's running for class president and like university, like student body president, whatever they call it at his college. He makes really good grades. He's got like a cute girlfriend, everything. But his secret life is he loves heavy metal. And he's worried that if people find out that he will like be judged for it, I guess, which his friends are all like, what, who cares, you know?
Wait a minute. Was this written in 1980?
I know. And I'm guessing that it's going with the original like 90s script of it, but they do point that out. They're like, what is this? You know, 1989. But it's really good. And it, you know, he's just going about his life, and then towards the end you start seeing the beginnings of what's going to turn him into Evil Ernie, from Ernest to Evil Ernie. So it's that one. I really was surprised by what that book is, and I'm really excited to see where they take it.
Okay, is Mr. Smiley in there?
Oh, the little button.
Smiley button.
We see him a little bit. I don't know that much about him yet. They give a little glimpse. So,
all right. So Katsune's got up the address if you guys want to go and hunt down one of these awesome copies. There you go, foxyandwolfie.tokyo. Well, that makes all the sense.
Was Evil Ernie upset by Ernest Goes to Camp?
Oh,
I don't know.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know.
So the thing that's interesting is that like this Chaos Dynamite stuff, you got to start really paying attention to some of the characters in it, because there's not any of them that's ever ended up on like the big screen or the small screen. And that kind of feels like the trend that's going on, right? That kind of thing is going to happen naturally. So if you've never enjoyed any of those characters, you should try them out, because I find them still to be very relevant. It's not like you have to be back in 1989 to enjoy these. They're really great. You watched Ernie Saves Christmas. That's what happened.
Yeah, which I loved those movies growing up. I loved Ernest, but
it was like very of the era, right? It's just sweet. Like that in the Crocodile Dundee movies. And yes, Kyle, I would love to do these in alphabetical order, but you hypothesize that we know what the alphabet is, so yeah. No, I put Avengers up. Oh no, where is it? Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so Amazing Spider-Man 80. I wasn't really going to go in this order because I feel like there's a different reading order this week for Marvel books. Okay, but this one is the one that's tied to the Beyond storyline that's been going on, which if you look at the numbering for the book, it actually says 80.Bay, which makes me laugh because Bay. Anyway, this one continues on with the storyline they've been running with, which they have former Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly taking the place of Pete. Well, Pete is in a hospital bed looking like death warmed over. There is a big corporation that has somehow acquired the rights to Spider-Man. So that's why they have Ben in the suit. And Ben is beholden to them somehow through his current girlfriend. That part's confusing to me. But it turns out that he doesn't have a lot of practice at being Spider-Man proper. And that might make it much harder on him this week specifically, as he gets shot with a poison dart.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And
he
it looks
does
bad.
not look well on that cover.
No,
we
it's
were
like-
looking at that cover today. He does not look well.
No,
He
this
looks
malformation
ill.
is part of this. Is not a lie, this cover. This is totally a malformation that happens to him, or at least in his brain.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, we're supposed to be going in alphabetical order.
Alphabetical. So he's going to tell us what's next. What's next,
Oh,
Kyle? What should
What's
we do
next on my side? Let's see here. Animal
Animal
Castle.
Castle.
There we go. So this one, which it makes an overt reference to it on the very first page, is a comic in the style and from the same sort of genre and idea as Animal Farm by
That's
George
what I was
Orwell.
hoping for
Yes.
when I saw the front cover.
Yeah. And that is exactly what it is. And it is very clear in the front, the first part of it, that, oh, well, this, some animals were on a farm and we are in a castle, and that's what this is. Animal Castle, #1 from Ablaze. And it is exactly what you would get from Animal Farm, which, if you're not familiar with that, is what would you call it? An allegory where it's animals who the humans have all died, and now the animals are like, we're free, but over time a hierarchy and sort of a monarchy is formed where there's animals at the top who have much more than the animals at the bottom.
4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Yeah. And so this one is, I will say that it does have quite a bit of animal death in it, which is something that I avoid sometimes. And so it's very good though. And I mean, the art in this book is beautiful. Like, just one of those where it reminds me a lot of the like the old Charlotte's Web cartoon and like that style of cartooning. And it is awesome. And the main character, who you can see on the cover, is this little white cat. And the little white cat is struggling because her partner, the male cat, has died, and she's trying to raise 2 kittens on her own, and she is trying to fill in and basically do his work in this society, but she's struggling because the male cat was larger and could do more physical labor, and basically things are coming to a boiling point because a lot of the animals are starving, and yet there's this big storehouse controlled by the animals at the top. So it's really interesting, very political, and it's just a really good read. And especially if you enjoyed Animal Farm, you enjoy that sort of like thinking about power structures and stuff through allegory, this is definitely a good one to pick up.
Yeah, the lesson that you sometimes become the thing that you are fighting against.
Yes.
Or that you hate or whatever.
Mhm.
All right. We've been told by production team that we can resume our normal pick what you want to read. Huzzah!
Yeah.
I like the arrows too.
Mhm.
Pete and Miss Jen.
Yeah. We're
Hey
like,
Rob, hey Rich. I see all you guys. What do I want to do next? Okay, I'm gonna stick with my Marvel stuff here, and I believe the reading order starts here. So the Death of Doctor Strange touches a bunch of books this week. So this is the reading order. You want to do Death of Doctor Strange, Spider-Man before you would pick up the white box one, because it actually tells you that. I accidentally read them in the right order. So the Doc is out, and Spidey and Black Cat are making house calls. This is essentially what's going on in this book. So remember that Doctor Strange is dead. It means that a bunch of chaos is going on, because he normally would be protecting them from all other magic beings. And since he can't do that, there's a bunch of other stuff that's heading up there. This is very much, see if I can remember exactly what they're fighting here. Oh, goodness gracious. It's mostly just a big fight with them and kaiju in the city. It's a kind of a buddy fight where you've got Black Cat and him doing a general going about the city and trying to take up for all of the problems that now exist because Doctor Strange is gone. So don't miss that if you were reading the Doctor Strange storyline.
And is that kind of a one shot with Spider-Man? Because it's a number 1.
I mean, you could read it by itself. It helps to have read the Death of Doctor Strange things because it's kind of a long through story.
Yeah.
But I think you probably could read it by itself.
Okay. Cool. All right. My next one, which we actually accidentally swapped comic stacks, which is part of the confusion and everything this week. I got back from picking up my lunch and realized Miss Jen had left for her lunch with my stack, which had Human Target number 2 in it. And I got in my car and drove to where I knew she would be so that we could swap stacks back so I could get this book because that's how much I need answers. Also, this cover is beautiful. Just a little aside, but this is the Human Target number 2, which they call it book 2 because they're fancy. But this series is amazing, and it is a murder mystery where the person who's being murdered over time due to poison is trying to solve their own inevitable murder. So the Human Target, who is a guy who pretends to be various celebrities because they know they're about to get assassinated, so he goes out and is the target for assassination. He in the first one, he takes the job to pretend to be Lex Luthor. And while the main assassination attempt, which was just somebody trying to shoot Lex Luthor, went off and he was shot, but he was fine because he was wearing a bulletproof vest. It turns out that actually he was poisoned in a secondary assassination attempt that they had no knowledge of. So he now has 12 days. This is day 2. There are going to be 12 books. So each book is going to be a day. And he is hanging out with Ice, who's the lady you see here on the cover. And trying to get information. And this just reminds me so much of like the old school detective noir where it's I knew, like the little, like the voiceover where it's like, I knew she wasn't telling the truth, but I went ahead and let her talk, like that style. And it's so good. And each one has more intrigue and more like, oh yeah, that's who did it. No, it's not. Little twists and turns. So that series is awesome.
So who writes that one? I forgot.
This one is Tom King.
Tom King, of course. That makes sense. Humphrey Bogarty. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That would be accurate. All right. Now, this is The Death of Doctor Strange, White Fox, which I don't believe we've had an early origin story for White Fox before. Or if we did, it was very short. White Fox first showed up in a little mini series that they put out, I would say during the War of the Realms, about that time. And the series had White Fox and EO and gosh, who were the other characters that were part of that group? Can't remember, but she's gorgeous. And I say don't miss it mostly because of the origin, because the origin is really great. It addresses her family and the ancientness of the being that she is. If you're a fan of Japanese spirit animal kind of explanations, that's where her heritage is. So this is really perfect. And some of the best art. It's this kind of art throughout. So if you like the really detailed, gorgeous stuff, grab up.
And Adrian asked if I saw the ending of this one coming. I'm going to be totally honest and say, no, I didn't. And I'm not really a person who tries to guess endings, though. Unlike my mom, who's also watching and always has them figured out. She could probably already know what was going to happen in book 12 if she'd read these first two. But I'm just along for the ride. I'm not trying to figure out anything.
What?
Mm-hmm. Oh, all right. Let's talk about Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning, #1. So this one is a follow-up series to, I believe, is it just called Maniac of New York?
Yep,
the first one? Okay. And so in this one, and really I haven't read the first series. You could definitely jump in with this one. This one is awesome, masked murderer, horror movie, all the tropes. Awesome.
Sure is.
And in this one, it does give you a quick rundown of what's happened, where this maniac is out, which I don't know if it's, we have a question in the comments of if it's based on the 80s movie.
No, as far as I know, it's its own unique thing.
So the maniac, he's just out there just murdering. He just murders people. And New York is already on like alert. Like literally they have like police that are like, we're like looking for the maniac. Like we're standing outside buildings just making sure this guy doesn't get in. That does not go so well for a high school that he breaks into in this one. And that is going to be, looks like from all the descriptions I've seen that he is going to be stalking through and hunting down the students in this high school in this series. And basically you get introduced to the police detective that was the one who was hunting him down in the first one. Obviously he got away because he's still terrorizing everyone in this one. But and then also you get introduced to a high school student who is going to be kind of like, looks like he's going to be like the main character. And he is kind of a nerdy guy who has been bullied a lot. And so, you know, it definitely is setting it up for him to kind of have that character development where he is going to have to stand up for himself and for his classmates to try to save everyone. So it's really good. I really enjoyed reading this, especially because I love horror movies. So
Rob says, do we think it's oh man, I need glasses so bad. It's a spinoff of the other one.
Oh yeah,
definitely related.
Yeah.
Same bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Katsune's asking about the circular, colorful one. I'm going to get to that one, but this one is the Winchester Mystery House #2. Mm-hmm. Actually, I've got it in my hand. I might as well do it.
Yeah.
So the Winchester Mystery House #2 is picking up right where the last one went off. They've already started the house. They're well into building of the house. It makes much more clear in this one that the lady of the house is a very brilliant inventor and goes through some of the inventions that she made. If you've ever visited the house, you've seen some of these where, like, for example, she figured out a way, because the house was so sprawling and large, to have like a carded system in the wall where she could drop a card on her end and it would end up somewhere central that people could see it. So everyone all the people that worked in the house could tell where she was. So, and then there were a bunch of other things that she created. And then it also goes a little bit into the more spiritual part of her doing the house, in which she would go and consult the spirits, we'll have to say, at midnight. And then she would then hand down work orders for the workers for the next day, because they never really stopped working. They worked round the clock. But this was her obviously consulting the unalive, and to help her figure out a way to appease the spirits that she felt were angered by the death that they experienced at the hand of Winchester rifle.
All right. Oh, let's see. Let me do this one next. This one is Wild Bullets, #1. This is a Source Point book, and it is so fun. So this one actually for whatever reason, do you remember that movie, Meet the Robinsons?
Yeah.
That really
yeah.
early, it's like that, but with like action movie and like a murder plot.
Oh, wow.
It is so fun. And so you can see kind of like on the cover, each of the dinner plates has a face in it because that is the Bullet family. So there's the dad, and then the mom is a masked grave robber that also has a lot of guns. One of the sons is like a crazy scientist. One of the daughters is like a paranormal like monster hunter, and the other is basically like Indiana Jones. Like the other daughter is Indiana Jones.
So what you're saying is the most interesting family ever.
Yes. Oh, and the other son is a private detective.
Oh, definitely.
And basically what happens is they all come over for Thanksgiving dinner, and the maid has been murdered. And every single one of the children have something that has happened to them in the previous weeks that they're like, this is why she got murdered. This is why she's murdered. And like it goes through each of their different stories. And then at the end, it's sort of like, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like a big epic battle at the end, and it's just craziness. And it's so good, but it's really interesting because I'm not actually sure. You can see there's like a lot of names there at the bottom because I think they got different artists. There's a different art style for each story that each kid is telling, and each one is like
that.
Yeah, like because like the detective is like, oh, I found her, and the gangsters were after her, and the other girl is like, oh, well, I had stolen this totem from this ancient temple, So it's the Wild Bullets are very wild. It's a very, very fun book.
Feels like maybe fans of Knives Out would like that book.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You like it? Yep. All right, another book that I stole from Bean on accident is Redneck number 31, which starts the very last story arc of Redneck because they're going to finish it up. So I don't know how many issues are in the final arc, but
I think it says 6.
At least this one. Does it say 6?
Yeah.
Chapter 1 of 6, Texas Forever. Yeehaw! So when last we saw the family, the main family, there had been a giant war between the two vampire factions, and one lost very much. And most gave their lives on both sides. So it was like a really bloody war. For people that don't know, it is a vampire tale that's set in West Texas, which Donny Cates loves West Texas. And one of the families kind of wanted to live peacefully and not to rock the boat too much. And the other one was like lived really loudly and like brought a lot of attention to themselves. And of course, the Quiet family was like, knock it off, man. We're trying to just make our way through the ages and not have anybody, try to burn us or whatever. So it came to a head. And in this issue, it jumps ahead. This is gonna this is what you do when you don't know, like you don't want to. You've got way more storytelling to tell, but you don't get enough issues to do it when they say you got to wrap it up. So jump forward 200 years, which you can do if you have a vampire. And this book focuses specifically on one of them. And there is a really big thing that happens in this book with a very, very bad character. And you're going to see from one of the characters that a power that I was previously unaware of. Didn't know they were that strong. So you can honestly jump into this series right here. If you know only what I told you, you'll be totally fine. You can jump in and enjoy it. Just know it's dark. It's not for kids. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's Donny Cates. That's what you need to know about that series.
All right, let's see what else. Oh, I'm gonna do this big boy next. This is Gotham City Villains Anniversary Giant with it's a 100-page comic book. Did I read the whole thing? No, I did not, because this is meant to skim it, and this was long. But the parts of it that I did, I got through most of it, and absolutely awesome. It is beautiful. You can see the cover art from this. All the covers are beautiful, and the stories inside are awesome. One of them, which is probably important to point out, is the Poison Ivy story, which ends with a little thing that says Poison Ivy's story blooms in 2022. So it has sort of a little prelude. The Poison Ivy story that we get in this one is really good. I really like it as somebody who like loves plants and loves nature. I usually love Poison Ivy, and this is no exception, because it is all about how she is it's just kind of like her musings on plants and on life, and about her like kind of attacking this like workplace, but then kind of just like kind of a philosophical like contemplation of like, well, what does life really mean? So that's really interesting that it's kind of giving you the little bit of a prelude to a story that's going to be coming next year. And also, the very first story in this, the Penguin and Catwoman are in love. Excuse me? Why? What? Who? It's weird and worth it. So it's the Penguin and Catwoman. Not a pair I would have shipped personally, but it's there. It is really interesting. Without spoiling it, they don't really do that many villainous things. They actually kind of like go to the good. It's very out there. There's a really fun like Red Hood story I got to read. It's awesome. I mean, like I said, it's 100 pages of comics, so it is definitely worth picking up because it is really, really good. And they're not necessarily the usual like cackling evil villain things. You're getting little moments in their lives and getting some depth to those characters. So I really enjoyed it.
All right, and of note, I was just looking up on my phone to make sure I was not speaking out of turn. The DeVito who wrote the Catwoman story is Danny DeVito.
I was gonna say.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Does that change your experience of that story?
Shipped himself with Catwoman. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I
Wouldn't you if you could have all the power to do that? Yes.
That's phenomenal.
So that's why you want to read. You want to read it for all the other stories too. But if you want to read Danny DeVito getting to put his little flipper hands into it as the Penguin,
it's so good. That makes it so much better. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, very good thing to pick up this week. So
love you, Mr. DeVito. Please forgive me for my flipper. Well, self.
Yeah.
Insert. Yeah,
it does. It does.
It did come. I didn't do this yet, right? Okay. It came out last week, but we did not get our books. So this is Good Boy #1. It is all that it was touted to be. So if you don't have a copy of Good Boy yet, you should absolutely get it. This is a Source Point Press book by Garrett Gunn, Dr. Christy Blanche, Kit Wallace, and Lentz, who is an amazing letterer, by the way, and has done other things for them. So Sunny with Danny DeVito. Yeah. So this, now that I've read it, makes it very clear that it is inspired by the story of John Wick, and that they take the story of the man and the dog, but instead of having the dog just be a dog, in this case, it's anthropomorphic, and when it's not even owner, they are partners that are assassins, and when the partner John gets killed, then this is Flint Sparks on the front cover, by the way. Flint Sparks decides to go on a rampage, and it's so artistic at the very beginning. It has all the flowery language of like this is me, I've buried my person and I'm mad about it, but I'm going to be cool. No, heck no, I'm not going to be cool. I'm going to go and kill everything that's ever walked, that thought about, or is attached to this, just like, the John Wick stuff is. But then it separates itself from that universe and like having some other very specific characters that don't exist at all within the John Wick universe that are specific to this one. So you can start seeing that they're working their way into their own unique storyline that's just as bloody and gory. The thing that's cool is that instead of just being humans that are getting killed, it's also anthropomorphic animals that are part of this universe. And it breaks the fourth wall a little bit in acknowledging that. Yeah. Like one of the characters actually says, as you know, anthropomorphic animals exist in this universe. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, as far as I know that there's this first story arc is 3. They've already announced a second story arc of 3. And you can be darn tootin' that there's going to be a third 3, because there's always going to be a tri-trilogy. So you can jump into the Good Boy universe, and it's not going to cost you $1 million unless you need every single variant cover that there is out there, in which there are a lot, and they are beautiful.
They are, which I am so curious about that, because the John Wick movies are so quiet. Like, they're very quiet. I mean, other than like, it's just all visuals. So I am so curious to see that had to be kind of a difficult thing to like adapt into comic book. So I'm so excited. I've heard such good things. All right, now for the absolute chaos that is Justice League Incarnate. This one is a lot of fun because there are comics that you read and they're all over the place and they're confusing. And you feel like you need a corkboard and string and some thumbtacks to try and figure everything out. And those are really good. I enjoy those. Like I've been reading May's book, which is literally about that, This one is absolutely wild. And you just hang on and it's like a roller coaster. Because as you can see, this one on the cover, at first you glance at it and you think, oh, I know them folks. But if you look closer, this is not our Earth's Superman, Batman, and what's his name? Captain Carrot, Hannah? Is that his name? Captain Carrot? I love him. I'd never seen him before. Look at him. He's a rabbit. He's a buff rabbit superhero. And so you can see actually that the Aquaman is a woman in this one. And then this character here in the very center is a new version of Flash. I don't know if we've seen her before. I've never seen her before. But basically what this is Justice League Incarnate is like a multiverse Justice League. So basically they are out there and they're trying to figure out these big bad things that are happening across the multiverse and with all these weird multiverse things. And they're pretty much assembled by like Earth 23 has the Batman we need. So they're from all these different multiverse, like all these different universes. And then you'll see on the cover down here, it says, who is Dr. Multiverse? Who is a character. I don't know if we've seen her before, but
brand new, first appearance.
She's awesome, and I love her. Her costume reminds me of like Moon Knight's costume, which is probably one of my favorites of all time. But it has like stars on it, and she is so cool. And she is basically able to manipulate and move between the multiverses, and she can kind of like see, like when she looks at Superman, she's like, wow, there's a ton of you, like, cause she can see all the different versions of Superman, which that's a very cool panel. It's so exciting. And, so this is an awesome book. And like I said, it feels like a roller coaster, and Darkseid's in it and big bad things are happening, and it's so fun. And this is a 1 of 5 from DC that's coming out this week. So not going to be long. They got a lot to do. 5 episodes. Yeah.
So apologies to anyone watching us on Twitch. It looks like there's a little bit of a glitch that's happening. Yeah. Stick with us though. We'll figure it out. Our tech team is really good about if it doesn't happen during the show, they usually go and figure out what's going on and make sure that doesn't happen again. we're always working on fixes because I don't think the internet was really designed for a full network to be running through it, like Sci-Fi Channel or something. But
Yeah.
we still are going to do it anyway.
Oh man, we've got votes for Captain Carrot. We've also got votes for the tortoise in the
I
chat.
like the tortoise.
So,
Adrian likes the tortoise.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, this one I also stole, and I feel really bad about it, but I'm glad I read it. This one is King of Spies. It's a Mark Millar joint, which I probably would have fought her at them more if I had known that. Mark Millar, I don't know what there is about what Mark Millar writes. I love every bit of it. Like Prodigy. I just want to see that on Netflix. I want to see who they're going to cast for that. If you've never read Prodigy, go and find it. Because it feels probably like it could be connected to this universe, honestly, which all the Millar universe is connected, so it makes sense. King of Spies is exactly the way it talks about. This is an older spy who has been acknowledged by the Queen and is kind of retiring or trying to move away from his active status. And it also touches on a different spy. Those storylines are going to intertwine at some point. And this older spy, who I think his last name is King, which is the reason why King of Spies.
Oh.
But he realizes that he's kind of like wasted his life. There's nothing to show for it at the end because he's never made any real connections. Like he's never stayed true to a mate. He's, never stayed in one place. He's never formed real friendship connections that were really true. And the thing about the book is that he finds out some news that makes it, that changes his attitude about the way he looks at his life going backward. And then it becomes a bloodbath. So just know, if you like a lot of blood and those kinds of nothing matters anymore. I'm going to just do anything I want. That's where you see this character go. So I love end of life, kind of like looking back, introspective. Man, I can't change it, but I can just throw a fit about it, I guess. I just love these kinds of, you just know. You're like, I hope.
Yeah.
That when you look at James Bond, you're like going, does he ever really think about the lives he's impacting when he does what he does? And probably yes. Probably yes.
Probably not right in the moment.
Not in the moment, no.
Yeah. Well, and I think in the books, like the original Ian Fleming novels, you see a lot more of him reflecting. But movies, I mean, they are fun with more explosions, So
Oh, yeah.
I agree. So I should also read Deathbed. Excellent.
Deathbed. Ooh. Alrighty. So my next one, talking about kind of reflections on life and stuff, is Tales from the Dead Astronaut. This one is
Dead astronauts
Yeah.
tell no tales. Sorry.
But this one does. This one told a lot of tales. He told 3 tales, in fact, in this very comic book.
What?
This is a weird one. This is definitely one, and I mean that in a good way. I mean that in a sort of like contemplative. The art in this is awesome. You absolutely, it's a very artistic style. It's very like I don't know how to describe it. It's I mean, it's kind of like reminds me kind of like a grunge style, if that makes sense. Like kind of sketchy and kind of like you feel the energy. This one, so I'm not 100% sure how the mechanics work, but there's a dead astronaut and he's in space and he's floating along. And I guess this is kind of like what he's seen. I'm not sure how he's seen these things because they're like on planets, but we're just gonna go with it. So he's the narrator. He's floating out in space just like this. There are space tardigrades that are eating his face, and I guess maybe that's how he's getting this knowledge. But the first story is about like an alien civilization that goes and kind of like infects other planets, but not necessarily in a malicious way, just in a gathering knowledge. The second story is about like space rock stars who are like doing a publicity stunt. And then the third one, what was the third story? I'm having trouble remembering the third story because the rock stars doing the publicity stunt in space is like awesome, and that's the one that really stands out and grabs you. But it's a very good book, very just like short little stories that this corpse is telling you. Space tardigrades, all the good stuff. Another one from Source Point. So that is Tales from the Dead Astronaut.
Right, 62 Lefty Blues says it's like a miniature creepy type magazine.
Yep.
But in a
shorter comic.
Version. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that is exactly what it's like. It's very good. And sci-fi.
I apologize, 62. Like I'm really stretching my eyesight with my bad glasses that are like needed to have been changed.
It
2
is
years
very
ago.
small too. I can't see if I sit over there either. So.
Okay, so it's not my just old eyes.
Oh no, it's just
like
very
looking,
small.
I can't look out my my bad eye. Nope, nope, not at all. None. All right, what have I not done? Ooh, it's Venom time. Venom.
Crazy.
All right, so I talked to Rom V this week on my Talking Shop show that happens on Mondays, which you can watch at your leisure on the Experience, which is where you are now. And I talked to him about Venom, and I talked to him about Radio Apocalypse. But the reason why I mention it is because the thing I didn't realize is that, because I asked him specifically about when you were sharing writing responsibilities with somebody else, how that worked out. And he said he didn't know how it worked for other people, but for him and Ewing, the way they worked it out is in issue number 1, they both worked on the story, but it's like a page from one character's kind of more point of view and a page from another one's. And I didn't notice that until he had mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then now the way it's going to work out is that it looks like every other issue is going to be one or the other. So this is number 2 and it's Rom V. And then number 3 will be Ewing. So, and focus on the other character. So you'll probably be able to figure out that one's kind of more from Dylan's point of view, which is the son. And that's definitely number 2. So you can probably figure out who's writing who at this point. But so what you need to know about Venom in general is that Eddie is no longer a part of the Venom symbiote's life. Eddie is now king of the symbiotes and is not around anymore. He's not himself at all. And Dylan is hanging out with Sleeper, which is the little cat-looking Venom creature, and a dog, which I can't remember the dog's name, but the dog is also a symbiote creature, and Venom just is the symbiote. But there's this whole like thing that the theme going through it is like that he keeps on hearing voices to not join with the symbiote. So it's weird because Dylan's already done that once. So it's not like it's an unknown thing to him. So it's basically this big like struggle for him because he's a young boy, right? Trying to figure out how to make his way in the world with, it's just him, a cat, a dog, and it's kind of it's one of those travel logs, actually. A boy and his dog and his cat and his symbiote.
I'm so excited. Has Scotty Young done a cover of all of those characters yet?
Oh, I don't know. How cool
it needs to happen. Yeah, I can just imagine his style of the cat and the dog and the, symbiote all out doing their best.
Ooh, symbiote needs a name. We need to name him something cool. Just like Dave. I don't know. It seems weird. It feels weird that he doesn't have a name. He's just like the symbiote.
Yeah.
To be differentiated from all the rest of the symbiotes from that planet. I don't know. Anyway.
Alrighty. My next one is an ash can, which for those of you who might be new viewers, an ash can is like a little short preview of a comic that's going to be coming out. And this is Terror Source. This one is awesome. And I didn't really know. I mean, I saw like big kaiju monster on the front and I was sold. I was like, yep, I'm here for it. But this book is going to be way different than I expected. Ooh. And basically and I'm trying really hard to like find the right words to describe it, but it's like, like the books where it's sort of like medieval level technology with like magic like that classic swords and dragons style. That's the society that they're setting up for this. Like the society is like living in caves and huts, and they have very rudimentary weapons from what I've seen so far.
Okay.
There's like some level of magic that's going on, and they're the ones that are going to be fighting these like crazy fire breathing, possibly magically possessed dinosaurs.
Okay, so I like this. So it's not like the normal where it's like everyone's got jeeps and a Gatling gun.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what this isn't. Like it's gonna be so cool because that's what I thought too. Like Jurassic Park, and they're running through and there's like bombs going off and stuff. This is like totally different, very magical, very like swords. I'm so excited for this. This is gonna be awesome. So that's Terror Source, which is written by Garrett Gunn.
Yeah,
the awesome person also behind Good Boy this week. So
yes, and congratulations to Garrett Gunn and team. Their Kickstarter for Postmaster is doing amazingly well. It's kicking booty. I would say it the way Garrett says it, but then I'd have to wash my mouth out with soap. And Adrian is totally smart. That is the reason why it is called an ash can, is because it was intended to be burnt in your ash can when you were done. What in the world are you looking at, Kyle? Like some weird faraway view of Kyle. He's like, what's that boy doing? All right. This is a super thick book that I was sad that I did not get to finish. This is Avengers number 50, or Legacy number 750. And let's see, there's a bunch of stories that happen in this, all involving all the different characters, I guess, that are involved.
Nice.
They're part of the Avengers. There's a story involving the Celestials, for example. And the very last story that I like very much is a story that's very sweet. Mm-hmm. It's basically Thor runs across this young boy in Asgard and has an interaction with him in which they have to fight things, and they're using Mjolnir. And the boy tries to pick up Mjolnir, and he can't pick up Mjolnir because he's not worthy. He's a little bit sad about it. And then there's some a sweet thing that Thor says about like that you're not worthy of the hammer because it's meant for me, but each person has their own greatness that they're meant for. And then you find out what the name of the kid's name is, and then you're like, ah. So anyway, don't miss this. This is a bunch of different stories that you will love.
Tell me after, right?
Yeah, of course you will.
Oh, Adrian says that the one guy who wrote the Thor story is one of his favorite sci-fi authors. So you need to drop that name in the chat because I want to know who that is.
So special story by Christopher Avancio. Steve McNiven is not sci-fi.
Yeah.
And Frank Armata. Armata.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with any of those. So.
But there's a bunch of people that worked on these. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, there's also a really good She-Hulk story in there.
Oh.
Very good She-Hulk story.
All right. Let's see. We almost done? Oh, yeah. Okay.
I got this one left.
All right. So I've got...
Oh, no.
And you got Trial of Maniac. Okay.
So
we've got Hotel, which this is Hotel Volume 2, number 1. And this one, it looks like it's going to be a series of single stories of people staying at this hotel, which is totally haunted, horrible things happen. This is basically a family that's very down on their luck. They're trying to find a place to start over. They stop at the hotel, and horrible things start happening to them. And it's one of those horror stories too that's also about family, and it's about family relationships, and it really plays off of that, just like the monsters play off of that in this book. And that's all I'm going to say about this one. This one is awesome, but we're running out of time. So
okay, and also the cool thing is that one is the second part of the series that went on before.
Yeah.
Darkhold Black Bolt is just exactly like the normal Black Bolt storyline. The Darkhold storylines that have come before it, in which it's a standalone story that happens that as a what if that puts itself in the universe the way it should be. But in this case, it's Black Bolt's most dark future, dark possible storyline. It's
Those have been so
amazing.
good.
And then you need to know the trial of Magneto. Don't miss it because Scarlet Witch was murdered, but then she also self-resurrects, and there are 3 versions of her in this issue.
Whoa.
So all important.
All right, and I can describe this one in less than 10 seconds. Aliens come down, they get inside the turkeys, and the turkey aliens murder everyone. So that's Turkey Day. One shot. That's it. That's all you need to know.
That's perfect.
And then,
Kyle is currently Donkey from Shrek. I love it.
and Adrian has filled us in the oh no. His favorite sci-fi author is Christopher Rocchio. So I'm gonna have to go on my Goodreads and put some of his books in there so I can check him out.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Minute to Skim It, in which we read our books very quickly but talk about them forever. So we apologize for that. The name has meant something different over the years. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Remember to subscribe to us so you don't ever miss a show. See you guys later.
Bye.